Yeah.
How old was she when that happened? Like in the 20s?
Nani was young. I mean, yeah. She only had 1 or 2 kids of her own, like Uncle Russ, Uncle Sam.
You were. All right, Papa. We're gonna start with talking about when your dad came over from Italy and how he met your Nani, or how he met Nani, and basically, I guess my question is how did they meet, and what was the kind of the situation behind their marriage? And
Well, I'll tell you, they came over. There were 4 brothers that came over. There's 7 brothers in my dad's family, and 4 of them chose to come over at this particular time. And a few years earlier, an uncle of theirs came over, and he kind of set the stage, and he kind of was like a preparatory thing that he knew that someday he'd get his nephews over here, see. And so he went to work, and then sure enough, he got them the passports and all that stuff, and the visas. And here they come, 4 brothers, 1916 is what it was.
Who was the uncle, Uncle Papillon?
It was Uncle Papillon. They called him Papillon because he fell between the coal mining cars and cut an arm off, so they call him, for short, they call him Papillon. That was a nickname, but his real name was Salvatore Garaccio. That was Grandma Bonasso's brother. Because of the tie between Grandma Bonasso and Uncle Papillon, he took it on his own to try to get these guys lined up with women, because it was all right. That's the way they used to do.
Yeah.
Everybody played Cupid, see?
Yep.
Well, when they came over, then they all got a job in the mines, and it was what was called low. There's a name for it. I can't think of it right now. Low mines. It wasn't deep mine. It was
belly mine.
Belly mine. You could call it shallow mine. Shallow mine, and with that you had to have a carbide light that you put carbide in. It stayed lit, and you go in there on your belly because it was low. The coal seam was low, so therefore you had to lay on your belly. And my dad, and along with his brother, they worked like 10, 12, mostly 12 hours a day for $1.75 on their belly digging coal. And he did that for 3 or 4 months, and he said, no, I can't do this the rest of my life here. He said, I'm going to do something else. So he started selling little things like milk and bread to the coal miners, and aspirin tablets and cold syrup and Sloan's liniment and stuff like that.
Now is this before he met Nani?
Probably before, yes.
Okay.
Soon after. So he got started in the mercantile business. He knew a guy by the name of Frank Aberzino, who was a beer distributor in Shinnston, West Virginia. He was on the bank board, and because of the tie, Uncle Papillon and Frank Aberzino, they made a marriage that, I want you to do these 2 brothers, Uncle Pete, Chicken Louie's dad, and my dad, and put them in business. Give them the money, because these guys they'll get the job done, and which they did. They built, I told you, 25-foot footers on this building in Wyatt that you'll see someday, pictures that Sammy took. But it was unheard of. Oak floors and oak trim in the building, and ceramic tile, and just a first class building, 3 stories, and so they did a big business. I mean, the mines were flourishing. This was 1928 or 29 before I was born, and the business went on, and but then Bethlehem Steel or Consolidated Coal Company or whatever company it was, they ran out of coal. The seam was gone, so they closed the mines down. Now, they got like 200 or 300 people there with families. They just shut down. And so it was like a depression. It was depression. It was 1929, I guess, when everything collapsed.
Yeah. So then, Uncle Papillon, when did he introduce Nani and your dad?
Shortly after, it could have been a year or 2, that he introduced my dad to my mother, because he knew my mother's dad.
Yep.
And he said, you know, it was like a deal, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you got your daughter Josephine,
Yep.
Pepina, they called her, Pepina, and we make my nephew Frank,
Yep.
nice man, hard worker. Let's make them married, you know, fix these guys up, get them going, make a family. That was the
That was the deal.
that was the deal, and of course it went through. My mom didn't like that. She never did approve of that. My mom was super beautiful.
Yeah.
None was. And my dad was all right too, but you know, you have there's chemistry there that wasn't there.
Yeah. Because they had never known each other. They were just.
They never knew each other. It was a fixed deal, and Nani didn't like it. My mother was only 15 years old.
Yeah. So it was like, Josephine, here's Frank. He's
Yeah.
gonna be your new husband.
Yeah, that's right. My dad bought her a little silk hanky. Come on.
But hey, if they hadn't arranged it, you wouldn't be here. So
Well-
you gotta, knock on wood.
I don't know if I'll knock on wood, but
What was it? What was the story we were going to get into? First, it was the arrangement, and then what?
Oh, and so what was your dad like? What type of guy was he?
my dad was a first class gentleman, there's no doubt about it. But he had a temper that wouldn't quit. Now, if you want me to describe
Oh, Uncle Bill. Watching Uncle Bill.
one time when he told me, he said, I'll tell you what. I was like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, maybe 8 years old, maybe 9 years old. And he said, listen, I'm going to town. You watch your brother. Uncle Bill was like 4 years old. Yeah, I said, I'll watch him. Well, about a half hour later, he said, you take him for a walk, walk him and, I said, all right. So we went down about a block away. By the time I got down from my house to the end of the street, here comes Flora DeMarco. She said, Pete, would you do me a favor? I said, yeah. She said, take this key into my son Guy at the Coca Cola plant, because I won't be here at 4 o'clock when he gets out and he has to have the key to get into the house. I said, sure, I'll take it in there. You watch my brother Bill while I go in there. I had never been to balling plant before in my life. I walk in, I'm 9 years old. It was like a maze. Like 25 cases of the old wood Coca-Cola cases stacked up. Them little bottles of Coca-Cola, And the machines were gone, but I didn't know where I was. I walked in there without asking permission to go in. I got locked in between all these hundreds of, I don't know, maybe 1,000 cases piled up. I couldn't find him. I was in there like 25 minutes, maybe a half hour, looking for her son to give him the key. I finally found him. I said, hey, guy, this is the key to your house. I got to get out there and, Oh, he said, thanks, because your mom's not going to be there at 4 o'clock. Okay, thanks, Pete. I said, okay. I go back outside. I don't see Miss DeMarco. I don't see my brother. Now, I go into a panic state. God damn, I said, I can't believe this. I knew what the penalty was going to be if I didn't have my brother, because my dad told me, hey, little asshole, you watch your brother, because, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, he said, you watch your brother. He said, so I said, uh-oh. I said, I'm in deep trouble. I said, so when I went out there, and about 20 minutes later, here come my dad from the playground up 4th Street toward 5th Street, and there I am. I said, well, that looks like my dad, my brother. And I froze in my tracks. I said, I'm in deep trouble now. Here comes my dad, my brother that I didn't watch. Well, it was almost like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Every step, I knew that it was inevitable. He's gonna put some whoop ass on me. I felt it.
Felt it coming.
I just trembled. I was absolutely terrified. I knew that I was in deep trouble. I just knew that was the bottom line. There were no questions asked. There was no judgment day or nothing. He was the law. Boy, oh boy. Here he comes. Closer he got, more trembling I got. He had about 9 or 10 of them hickory switches under his arm. See, he was game. He was ready for the action. See, so I said, Pop, I said, you know, where'd you find Bill? He said, I'll show you where I found Billy in a little bit. He grabbed my hand. I knew I was in deep trouble then. See. Oh. Well, we walked up one block, and here's my neighbor, compadres, with my dad, and the next door neighbor said, Compadre Frank. My dad's name was Frank. Compadre Frank, he said, ¿qué es suceso? He said, what's going on? He says, more about the way que es suceso. He said, I'm going to show him what it's all about now. Oh, I said, boy, damn, I'm in deep shit now. I'm trembling. And he won't let my hand go. He's got me in it's one of them wrestling locks, you know, where they lock you up. Well, we go in there and took me in the back bedroom. We had one of them old black trunks with them brass buttons on it. He closed the door, and I said, uh-oh. And he put me on top of that trunk. And there was no escape. It was almost like, oh, hell.
And how long till we eat? Oh.
They're up on the trunk.
Got me in the corner of the trunk, and he started. Every time he put a switch on me with full throttle, I'm only 9 years old. I grabbed the switch, and there was a little crack in the corner of the trunk. I stuffed it back there. My dad was a big man, so I knew damn well he couldn't get it, see. Every time, bada boom, bada boom. About 9 switches, and I broke them all. So finally, one time, I pulled it from his hand and hurt his hand. Uh-oh, he said. I said, I called him a son of a bitch. I said, listen, you son of a bitch, you got to stop this shit. I said, he killed me. He didn't, he heard a different drummer. The drummer was, this guy is going to go down. I'm saying to myself, I said, this cannot be for real. I said, my dad's going to kill me. So what did I do? I said, so he took his belt off. He only wore a size 50 belt, one of them little narrow leather belts from Italy that stung you every time he snapped it. Man, he started on his belt. Finally, I pulled the belt from his hands, and the buckle caught his hand and hurt him. And I stuffed it back down there too. Oh, he said, I'm going to get you now. I said, you son of a bitch. I said, you better not. And I slid down between his legs from that trunk. I was only 9 years old. I was fast. He was slow. Not too slow. So I tried to crawl on my hands and knees to get to the doorknob to get the hell out of that bedroom. Well, that was the washroom. My mother had the old Maytag washer. You had to have a tub where the clothes went out of the wringer washer into a tub. Well, the tub wasn't there, but the half chair was there, and it was kind of rickety. So when I got up there to reach the knob to get the hell out of that room, he took this damn chair and smashed it on my head and back, and goddamn near killed me, I'm telling you. Knocked me out. I felt the pangs. You talk about the pangs of suffering. God damn, they don't do this to niggers. Well, I finally got out of that room, Dan. You're laughing. I'm serious business. I'm fighting for my life. I said, I can't believe it.
Did Nani come in when that happened?
My mother never went anywhere. She had us boys, 5 boys and 1 girl. She never went any place, God bless her. But that day, her sister was sick about 10 blocks away. She went down to see her sister. I had no defense. I said, boy, he's going to get me. There ain't no doubt about it. If I don't get out of this damn room now, I'm dead meat. I finally barely got out of there, and I crawled, and it was at 3:30 in the afternoon, and my brother Jack came from school. And I got in the alleyway between 2 buildings, and I started running, and my dad said, go get him! Go get him! And as I was going down between the 2 buildings, I yelled in front of my voice, I said, Jack, don't try to catch me because I'm not going to make it. I'm dying. I had welts on my head. I'm telling you, my back, black and blue welts from that chair. The broke on my head. I died. Can you imagine?
What about
I
that?
can't-
What about that day when you were?
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
I finish that one.
So I finally, so when we got just about 50 feet or 50 yards from my dad, where he couldn't hear my brother Jack say, "Run, run." He said, "I'm not going to catch you." My dad told Jack, he said, "You catch your brother." He said, "I'm not going to catch you, go ahead." So we got around the building, and then I went down to my mother's house, my aunt's house where my mother was. When I got down there, oh, my mother was fit to be tied. Here was her little boy, had all kind of welts. Oh, she started yelling. I said, "I'm leaving home." Yeah, I said, "I'm leaving. I'm going back here, Mom." 9 years old. She put Vic salve all over me, I had nothing to eat. I didn't give a damn about eating. So I hit the road on Route 19, and I walked, and I walked. I was leaving home. And I finally got out to Route 19 where, you remember Garden Fresh used to be out on Route 19, or where Perry Mine, where Perry Mine is, or the junkyard is now. All the junkyard, the state auto wrecking out there now. Erie is where I got to that night. It was about like 6:30 or 7. Started getting dark. It looked like clouds, looked like it was going to rain. Man, I said, I can't make it. I said, I better go back home. So I walked back home. I got home about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Knocked at the door. My mother was glad to see me. Oh, she's good in here. I said, "No, Mom." I said, "He's going to kill me." "No," I said, "He ain't going to kill you." So she slipped me up in the bedroom, and patched me all up. Had to be a really demoralizing thing for my mom. Oh, my dad was good, but boy, if you cross his line, he'll bust your head wide open.
What was Nani like? Did she have a temper like that, or was
No, Nani was a piece of cake. Are you serious? For her boys?
In a few minutes
5
left.
of us
In a
boys.
few minutes left. What about when you lived in Clarksburg and you were hungry one night, and peeked down the steps?
Well, wait a minute. You want to start on that story now?
And the steps were.
what was Nani like?
Oh, Nani was a piece of cake. She was creme de la creme. She was so beautiful. She was an angel.
Just a great woman.
Oh,
No temper.
no temper, and she had to defend. There was 5 of us boys, and then we got the little sister. Then it was a family, and boy, she just wouldn't tolerate my dad. She'd tell him, she said, "Listen, don't you mess with kids." Ever since that day, boy.
So she stood up for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Well, sure. What the hell? Who's she gonna stand up for that tyrant? Hell, my dad was a tyrant. He was good, but he was bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think we're about done with this.
Yeah, how many minutes we got left?
Let me just tell you this little quick story. My brother Jack and I were up in the bedroom one night. It was about, 10:30 at night, and we just had the pangs of we wanted to be mischievous and get a little something to eat. Well, we knew we had pepperoni. Back in those days, you had sticks of cured pepperoni. And it was down the refrigerator, and we had QB bread. We called it American bread. It was sliced bread. We was always used to hard bread, homemade bread. But we liked that soft bread once in a while. We get a piece of pepperoni about that big, wrap it in 2 slices of bread and squeeze it like that, because that American bread, you just pop that air out of it, and it became a grip. But with a bottle of RC Cola, my brother Jack said, "You go downstairs." He sent me down, so I went down like a panther. Our logo, what do you call that?
Family crest.
The crest was a panther, and we called it Pranteria, Pranteria in Italian. So I went down the steps, 13 steps on my hands and knees, see? Yeah, my brother, got down there, opened the refrigerator. This scared me to death when I opened the refrigerator. The light came on. I thought my dad got me. Boy, oh boy. So I got a stick of pepperoni, a loaf of bread, and I went back up the stairs. But on the 8th step, there was a squeak. Woke my dad up. Oh,